Hey everybody, we have an awesome lesson today. So put away any distractions you might have, shut off the TV, throw the cat off the counter, or just put on some noise canceling headphones because you are not going to want to miss this one. Today we're going to talk about another term in the community that is absolutely applicable in sales, and it's really going to solve a problem and answer a question that we've always had for a while. Why do we get objections? Now, that is central to what we're doing here in the sales cheat code, but specifically this term answers it head on. And today we're going to get a little bit blue, so just understand, I don't usually curse, it's not my thing, but we're going to be real here, and I'm not really going to censor out any of the terminology here for that sake. Today we're going to talk about a shit test. Now, call it what you want, but that's what we called it in the community. Basically, the premise is this. When a guy approaches a girl and she's interested to some degree, she needs to figure out the value of that man. Is he a low-value toad and troll, and she doesn't really want to spend time with those kind of people? Or is he a high-value man, someone who's intriguing, someone who she wants to dedicate a little bit more time to and be around? She needs to figure out very quickly which group this man falls into. Now, when she gives you a shit test, don't take it personally. It's basically kicking the tires. And so the guy starts the conversation, and if he halfway knows what he's doing, he will get a shit test. Now, if he totally trips over his feet, and it's obvious this guy is not up to snuff, he's not going to get a shit test. He's just not. There's no point in it. We're going to get into that shortly. But again, if he knows halfway what he's doing, he will have to do with a shit test. Now, the girls want to know if this guy is real or not, or is he another charlatan? And that's the problem. You see, attractive girls out there get approached by charlatans nonstop, to a point where it really stops being interesting to them. And their main goal is to really try to dispatch with that person. And really, to that end, they pretty much assume that every single guy approaching them is probably going to be yet another charlatan. It's not really the case, but if you've been approached by 100 people and 97% of them were charlatans, it's just a lot easier to assume that they're a charlatan and try to dispatch them. And so that's kind of where they're at. In a sense, there's an inverse in the reaction to the value that you project. Now, you'd think if you project a low value, you would get something like a shit test. Whereas if you have a high value, you'd think, well, no, it's going to be clear sailing. She sees you're a high value guy. But it's the total opposite. It's an inverse. The lower your value, the less chance you're going to get of one. So if you've never got a shit test before, just being very honest, it's probably because the girl didn't need to give you one. But if the projection is that you're a really high value person, at least that's what you want to project, again, the first thing you're going to get is a shit test. So they're going to throw something out at you to see your reaction. And to be honest, it's not something they ever really think about. And when the girl gives this guy who's basically purporting to be high value a test, it's designed to see his reaction. And really the most common one that girls give is, I have a boyfriend. And it happens, honestly, out of 100 times, I would say that that's probably the one that I see or have seen about 80% of the time. And the reason is, well, it really works. You see, most AFCs fall for that. And so it's an AFC test in a sense. So you throw that out, and if all of a sudden the person starts to shrink or gives up early or starts to feel a little bit insecure about themselves, it tells that girl that this guy is an AFC. Now you might be asking, why do 80+% of women use this? Well, because if the guy fails it, it is the best time management technique they could ever come up with. In the matter of maybe 3 to 4 seconds, they can not only brush this guy aside, but he's going to agree and he's going to leave her alone. Now, For people who actually are a high value person and then they get the I have a boyfriend, they react totally differently. And in the community, we were always taught to plow through. And that's actually the terminology that we used word for word. And when you do that, when the girl says, I have a boyfriend, and you just really just ignore it, it's almost like she didn't even say anything. What it does is it escalates your true value. It says you passed the test. And at this point, and as long as you're being congruent with who you are, it's at this point that she realizes, wow, this guy's different than the rest of them. He's the 3% or the whatever the small percent is. And she's going to really want to try to earn your affection because she really doesn't see guys that often. So she wants to make it known that she's interested. And at this point, really the roles reverse. And now the guy's in a position of really vetting her out. Now let's bring this back to sales. You might be asking, how does this relate to sales? Well, actually extremely well. You see, of all the terminology in the community, this one directly is applicable more than any other terminology out there. You see, if you approach someone, anyone as a salesperson, the first thing that you're going to get is objections. It's just automatic. It's if you approach somebody as a salesperson, there is no way in the world you're not getting an objection. It's a 160% chance that you're getting objection. But the thing about it is, people, when they're giving you this objection, they're not thinking about it. It's just a knee-jerk reaction. It's totally subconscious, and they have given zero thought to it. They don't think about it ahead of time, and they don't even think what they're going to say, but they have it so embedded in their subconscious that it just comes out. And it is exactly the same as that attractive girl. It is a simple time management technique. And again, it works really, really well. But the thing about it is, it's designed to put you in a DLV position. And a DLV is short for a display of lower value. It's designed to tell you that they're better than you, that really you're subservient to them and they get to call the shots and you're just a little peon. And if you're anything like me, I hate that. It really annoys the crap out of me, and I don't like dealing with that. So the question is, how do you deal with it? Well, the first thing you have to know, you have to understand what's going on. Look, the reason you get objections, the reason I've gotten objections in the past, and the reason that people are going to get objections forever is simply one thing. It's not that they have a question about the pricing. They don't have to talk to their spouse. They're not so busy they can't talk about it. Has nothing to do with any one of these things that we've been taught that we have to overcome them. It emanates out of a point where they just don't trust you. Let me repeat this for emphasis. When you get an objection, the complete origin of that objection, 171% of it, is that they don't trust you. Like that attractive girl, they assume you are a charlatan. And no matter what you say, they're not going to believe you. And it has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with your product. It has nothing to do with how you present yourself physically. But it's the small things that you're doing that communicate to them that you're a typical salesperson. And that gut knee-jerk reaction is going to kick out objections. And not only that, it's not just an objection, but it's going to put them in a defensive posture that they will never give into. And it's something that I like to call the karate stance. I mean, they're literally going to get in a stance and they're never, ever going to let you win, ever, under any circumstances. The game is over. And that's why, realistically, when you try to overcome objections, they're going to have exactly one more objection than you have overcome. If you overcome 2 of them, they're going to have 3. If you overcome 6 of them, they're going to have 7. But they're going to have the final objection, and you're going to walk away empty-handed. And not only that, you've spent time on these people. So there's an opportunity cost where you could have been doing anything else in the world, but you're spending time in a fruitless endeavor to try to win somebody over who is dead set on never letting you win. Now, the best way to deal with this is to not get the objections. I mean, that's just a fact of the matter. You cannot get in that, what we call in the community, the friend frame. And what that is, we'll get that into another lesson, but once a girl sees you as a friend, it's over. They interpret everything about you as totally, totally different, and they have no interest in you. And in sales, it's the exact same thing. So what you need to do is you need to establish a first mover claim. You cannot approach them as a salesperson. If you do anything that your sales trainer told you to do right off the bat, you're done. You're cooked, the food's going in the trash, and no one's eating it. But what you need to do is establish that first mover claim to start to program their mindset so that they never view you as that salesperson. And we get into that in a number of different lessons. We have a number of programs on it, and it's specifically what I work with my clients on one-on-one personal coaching. But you cannot get to that point. So just in summary, understand that when you get an objection, there's a twofold part of it. Number one, it is a time management technique. It's not personal. It's just a simple, well-worn, highly effective time management technique. And number two, when you get the objection, what they're telling you isn't that they want the product, is that they don't trust you because you're acting like every other person, every other salesperson they've ever met who in the end were not trustworthy. So, thanks so much for the lesson. If you have any questions, hit me up. I'd love to hear back from you.